In this lesson, we'll be using pucker and bloat with the letter N. Okay, so let's jump over to our N composition. I'm just going to clear a few of these out just to make this a little bit easier to navigate. And you can see we've only got 3 layers here, and none of them even are the pieces. So we don't even have anything to replace here. But we can do something really interesting with this N shape. It allows us to make something really cool out of a unique effect that we can't always use because a lot of our letters have straight lines that are not all connected. But this is all one piece on the N. So what I'll do is go ahead and, just like always, change this to a vector, change it from a vector layer to a shape layer, and delete the original. Then we'll come down here and go to our add menu, and this time we're going to choose pucker and bloat. And you can see how right away the pucker and bloat settings have that amount set to 10. And I can increase that to make almost kind of an infinity sign, which is what I want to start out with. So I'm going to pull this up to about 102. We're going to key that there. Now I also want this to scale up over time from 0 to 100. So let's bring up our scale property, turn that down to 0. And then I'm just going to select my layer and hit the U key. So I've only got those 2 properties. Let's give it about 15 frames. And we'll take that amount back down to 0. And we'll take the scale back up to 100. So this is what we get. We get this nice little kind of infinity sign that comes up and flattens out into our letter N. Very, very cool. And I think I actually would like to give this just a little bit more time than 15 frames because it is just so interesting. And even on the N amount, I'm going to pull that forward so it stays that infinity sign for just a little bit longer. Awesome. Now let's go ahead and select both of those keys, go into our graph editor, and let's give those that same easy ease that we've been going for, that easy ease in. Very, very cool. Now when this starts to flatten out right about there, this is when I want these 2 lines to begin drawing out. And I'm just going to use trim paths with those. So we can shift select them, right click, go to create shapes from vector layer. Then we'll delete the ones that were the originals that had their visibility turned off. And then we're just going to add trim paths to both of these. So very, very simple way that we're going to draw these on. And again, just starting about right here on frame 9 or 10, we'll come in and let's see what side those are drawing from. So very nice. Those are drawing from the side that we want them to. So we can go ahead and just key the end property right there. Now I do want to go in here and point out something. It's easier if you just take both of your layers and begin them when you want them to start drawing so that your first keyframe is on the first frame that it's even visible. Just makes it a little bit more simple. So we'll key that one with the end at 0, and this one, also drawing from the correct direction, is going to start out at 0. We'll give that about 10 frames to come into view. We'll take those up to 100, and then let's go into our graph editor yet again, and we'll give those the easy ease in treatment and pull that back. Okay, maybe not quite that far, maybe more like that. So that's not kinking this bottom area up so much. Okay, so now let's take a look here. We probably want this larger one to come on first. So that's going to be that one right there. So I'll just pull this one forwards a little bit. So let's see what this looks like when it begins to animate through. It'll probably be done right about here. So I'll hit the N key and we'll just watch that. Very, very cool. Great. So we're using pucker and bloat, remember, for that N, and you can use that in other letters that we'll be drawing later on. Now, it looks like this one may have only made it to about 91 instead of 100, so we can just overwrite that by placing our current time indicator on the key and pulling that value all the way up to 100%. Don't forget your motion blur switches and your main motion blur switch. And it looks like that's not going to be visible on that first frame, so that is totally fine. Don't have to worry about making any kind of a correction for that. Great, so now we're ready to move on to our next letter, which is going to be the W. So stick around and we'll be learning a slightly new technique for the W as well.